Okay, go.
Now tell your tale about what was done in Haysi.
Oh, well, when I started working down there, that was in between 1942 and 1943. And I started working Jackson Harbor. And at that time, I remember the old man Klein, Scotty Klein, I think was his name. He run the Chevrolet garage. Then after that, his son Klein run the Chevrolet garage. Then after that, there was Pears and another, but I don't remember his name.
Klein.
No, it wasn't Klein. Scotty Klein was Scotty's name. But there was another tall fella went in there with him. And old man Doc Sutherland had his office up over the Chevrolet garage. And the tooth dentist, old man Yamcher, he was over the Chevrolet garage. He had his office up there.
Is that when Molly worked for a while now?
I don't know, but I remember him building some teeth for me while I worked at the hardware. He was a German, I think. And next one down there was old man Cooper. He had the grocery store. And then next one was the post office. That was old man Baker had the post office. Next and down was the warehouse for the hardware. And then there's a vacant lot in there that the boys that worked on the hardware, Claude Anderson and Dixie Southern, they parked their cars in the lot. And the Murray Woods old man, there was a well back in there, you know, between and that vacant lot right in the corner, right there where the next building was. And the Haysi water system had the pump right there. And he furnished water for the whole town.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There was a, you remember they was right there next to where, what's that girl's name down at church, got the beauty shop in there now, lived up in the house, Dawn, wife? Lenore. Lenore got her beauty shop in there now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a walkway goes in there and goes up that stairs right there to the up overhead building, upstairs in that building. Well, right back in that corner right there, there used to be a big well right in there, and that's where the pumps was that furnished the town water.
I didn't know
And
that.
Riley Sutherland, B, you remember B?
I remember B.
B's dead.
Worked in the
He done
drugstore?
Yeah. Riley, he done the work for all of, had trouble with water or anything. He was a plumber. He's a plumber, Riley was. But anyhow, Life Rose, he had that store there, grocery store at that time when I was there. That was in 43, I'd say. But Earl Dillinger, I think Earl owned the building. And then the next lot was the vacant lot on the right-hand side. And then you got to the bank, Common Bank. Haskell run the bank. Haskell ran it. He was a good fellow too.
I remember him.
Common Bank Trust Company. And then went on below there then. There's a little vacant lot between the bank and the theater. And then Vernon Carpenter, Miss Carpenter run the theater. The next building down was,
I remember her.
do you?
Mm-hmm.
You had
Yeah, I had
burned her
gloves
fingers,
on.
gloves on where she burned her fingers that
Yeah.
time. And then the next lot down, there was a little lot, hard driveway or something went up between the theater and where Ted Bennett had the restaurant. I don't remember what he called it. Was it Liberty Cafe, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
I think
I
Liberty
believe
Cafe.
it was.
And then Vernon Vick had the next restaurant below there. And then right below there was the little log shoe shop. And then the next lot was vacant down to there till you got down there to the old Green Lantern restaurant. And that was all on the right hand side down to there.
I remember that shoe shop.
Yeah. And then,
I remember I was a little bitty girl. Remember that shoe
well,
shop.
the last shoe shop was down there around the main end. It was made out of brick, right there where the town hall is down, right against that hill right there. About where that little garage is goes in there now, right there at the lower end of the town hall. They got a little garage in there or something other, a storage
At the police
building.
station?
Huh?
At the police station?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, how come I don't remember that one?
Yeah, there was a little brick shoe shop. That's where what's his name now? Lived back inside the farmer's supply right there. I got him put a switch box in that other house up in there.
No.
Bob Ramey.
Oh.
Bob Ramey had a shoe shop there. It was in Britain. But anyhow, when you come back up right there, I guess first to Ted, them buildings there where the dollar store is now, where the Fuller store is, they wasn't there. But the first one was there was an old wooden building that Bart Mullins had a restaurant in. And it set about where that pizza place is, you know, where Vicky's sister got that pizza place in there now.
Mick.
Yeah. There's an old wooden building right there that Bart Mullins used to have a restaurant in. Sit right there where it's at now.
Is that the restaurant? It used to be the Green Lantern.
Mm-mm.
That's not the place?
No, Green Lantern was down on the right as you go down. It's
Oh.
coming back up. There's an old wooden building right in there, right below Riley Bartley's service station. There was a little big wooden building Bart Mullins had a restaurant in. Set up on those big wooden legs. And then Riley Bartley,
Well, there's one restaurant called White Star or something, right?
White Star, I believe.
yeah,
I think one
yeah.
of them was
Well,
called
that was the one that Ted Bennett had, I believe.
Oh. But the Brown didn't
Well,
have
that
a
would have been, if White Star would have been the one that was right below the theater, you know, the big white one in there before you get to Vic and Bernie's. I think that's what they call the one that Ted run was White Star.
Oh.
But the hip was over there now where the cabinet shop is.
Was that Lola's dad?
Yeah,
I
Ted
didn't know
Bennett, Ted, and I forgot what his wife's name was.
that.
Then they had that girl.
I can't remember either.
I can't think of that girl's name now.
Lola there.
Lola, yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember Lola, but I
Lola.
can't remember what her mommy was.
Her mommy, yeah.
I fixed her hair down her music
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah, but that, I can't think what her name is now. But anyhow, right there where the Riley Bartley service station is, see, me and George, Ada's old man, George, we the one that dug the footer out down there where built that garage, where the old service station
Oh,
is now.
I
Yeah,
didn't
me
know
and
that.
George did. We was digging back in there, and that bank, we had a wheelbarrow and mattock and shovels, and it's sand bank in there. And I'd say me and him about, before I went to work at the hardware, we'd been somewhere between 13, 14 years old. And we was digging that out in there before the footers for that service station. And the bank slid in and pinned George in, and I had to shovel him out.
I remember him or somebody talking about that. I
Yeah.
sure do.
As me and George dug it out, and that bank scooted in right there, it's old sand, you know, and it just caved in on him, plumb up to his belt.
Couldn't get out.
And I asked Ada not too long ago, I said, don't you wish I just left him in there and not shoveled him out? No, I said, he's a pretty good old boy. I did. And anyhow, I'd say me and him was around 13 years old. And then right above, Riley didn't have a service station there, he hadn't never built it. But he's right in the end of that next building right there where Rakes' department store was.
I
Rodney
remember
Rakes,
Yeah.
and Riley had his service station in that little back lower end of that building right there. And then they used to
Killer's department store, I remember that.
they used to sell
Killers and Rays.
they used to sell beer and wine and everything in that restaurant there when I was a little bitty fella. And then they come on up through there, and then the next store up was Bob Arrington's, Jim's dad, Garmin.
Yeah.
And let's see, can't think about. I remember I can see my hand is clear, but I don't remember what Bob and Mom's name was.
Estelle.
Estelle, yeah,
It's still.
Estelle. That was Bob and Jim's mom and dad.
Yeah,
They run.
I remember it still.
I remember I used to go in there and buy shoes when I was a little bitty fella, Garmin. And then come on next and store up was a little old store in there. It used to be Kennedy's Piggly Wiggly store.
A Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah. Used to be Piggly Wiggly store
In Haysi?
in Haysi. Kennedy's Piggly Wiggly store.
I never know that.
All right, and then the next above there was Earl Dillinger's. I don't know what's in there now.
What happened to the drugstore?
That was what I'm fixing to tell you about. That's where Earl Dillinger had the drugstore.
Oh, okay.
The next above the little building, that and where they had a little building in there tore out right now.
Yeah,
Okay, that was where the old Kennedy's Piggly Wiggly
Piggly
store was.
Wiggly.
And the next one right there then was Earl and Dot's drugstore, where they sold the fountain drinks and things, and the bus stops used to be there. Those black and white transmit Out Norton, they used to have a bus stop. You get the tickets, they stop right there.
Rode
You
the
get on.
bus many times down Haysi.
Yeah,
I can remember getting on the bus with you. It seemed like it was like a dime or something.
11 cents.
11 cents. And
What was
we'd
called,
go down and get the permit, Vivian's. And come
black
back
and
in.
white, wasn't it? Black and white transmit company or something like that?
Yeah, and you'd just wait in the drugstore till the bus comes
Yeah.
stop in the front of it, and you'd go out and get on the bus. And when you get up here, had a little cord run all the way down through there, and you'd reach up when you wanted off,
Went
pull
off,
that
pull the
little
cord.
cord and hit
Yeah.
a beep,
I
and
remember
it'd
what to
pull
pull
over
that
stop.
cord.
See, B worked in the drugstore, and Dot worked in there, and Earl. And then the next one up there was Tiller's, wasn't it? The old lady Tiller. What was her name? Do you remember? We called
No,
her Miss
but
Tiller.
she had a
We called
daughter
her Miss
named
Tiller.
Gladys.
Huh?
She had a
Had a
daughter
girl
named
named
Gladys.
Gladys, right? Yeah. We just called her Miss Tiller. All I know, I don't remember I ever know her name.
Didn't they live upstairs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they lived
They lived
upstairs.
upstairs.
They did.
And then they had two boys, Jack,
Terry worked for one of them boys, didn't
and what was the other thing?
he? Nobody. There was two of them, I remember.
They felt like me. They wasn't quite all there.
I remember what his name was.
And then next door up was Chuck Damon. He was the last store. He was in that store right there now where Joe's got his.
Joe's computer store is.
Let's see, wasn't there nothing tore down right there
Yeah.
on the end?
Yeah,
Love Joe's?
Yeah.
right above Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where Chuck was. Chuck Damon had his grocery, had a clothing store in right there. And then that other right there was just a parking lot. And then hardware. That's where I was.
Parking lot's where you used to buy Christmas trees. I
Yeah, yeah.
remember.
And
have a big old barrel and have a bar built done.
yeah, yeah. Had then come up there to the hardware. At that time, before the flood took it out, there was no big steel bridge. Just one way bridge went across there.
I
And
remember.
had to be overhead, double big steel up over there. That 50-cent flood, I think, took that out. But I remember being a little slow doors worked there. And I started working when I was 14 years old. Driving a truck and delivering furniture and stuff. All bluegrass, build that bluegrass out of the old depot over.
Building out bluegrass.
Yeah. And
Don't
that
you
old
wish-
man, that old man Clark, he run the train station, and we used to go over and unload big carload of cement and sheetrock and barbed wire and field fence and everything out of the old depot.
And now wish you had all that building after you sold.
Yeah, Lord, yeah. I used to set that stuff out on the, mark it up in hardware on credit and mark it up, put it on shelves and sell it, and now I'm trying to select it.
You know, you might collect a piece or two that you sold at one time.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
said that.
you never tell.
Could be some that you
I
sold.
found a bill of bowl the other day for, what did I tell you, I give for that 50 cents?
What,
$4 or something. Up to,
What, Blue Ridge Bowl?
yeah, and it had a fresh chip out of it, and I know she chipped it and brought it down there. It was just as white in there as it could be, and I went back out there and I asked her, I said, honey, which box did you have it in? Let me see if that
See if I
chip's in
find a
there.
chip.
Yeah.
And she said, I know which one, and she went out there and she had it in a plastic thing, and there weren't no chip in there, but now it
See,
just
they,
looks like
above the hardware, hardware on that
Nice.
side, they wasn't there another store up through there then. That was just a real big swamp down there where the dollar store is now.
Yeah.
That used to be swampy up in there, but I remember they was right about where you pull in to the dollar store now, right straight down over the hill right there. There used to be a huge, big old oak tree, great big, growed over in there. And then it's old swampy like grass up and down through there. See, Rule, he hauled dirt and rock and stuff out of that river up through there and dumped in there and made that big field after he bought that. And then come on up there next, see the road like going up Sand Lake, it didn't go up where it goes down. It went between that building up there, you know where it used to be the Ford garage, and Rural Fuller owned the old store where Edward Supermarket is now. See, the road went between the Ford garage and that building went through there, the main highway.
I didn't know that.
There wasn't no bridge down here where the bridge is now. The road went through there and then across another old big steel bridge. And went across there, it's a one-way bridge, And then on the other side over there, where the railroad track, back in where the fire station was, there used to be a little log building sitting right in there. And it was, I don't remember where it was, W.M. Ritter or Yellow Popper Lumber Company. It was their main office was right there, I bet, in that little log building.
Jenny put a story about that on the computer the other night, didn't she?
About that little building, the log building there?
About Haysi.
Oh,
And
yeah.
how they hollered, Haysi. He'd come across and pick up the people.
And then old man William Arrington, see, he owned the Ford Garage there then. It was called Brakes Motor Company. And then after he
I can
died,
remember
by,
that Brakes Motor Company. I can remember
after
that.
he died by Hurl,
Power.
he run the Ford Garage then until it quit. That was all on that side then. There wasn't no more businesses up through there.
You done good. You got them all, didn't you?
I believe that's
Remember
all.
them all. This is a story of Haysi from my daddy dad.
Now, see, I don't remember nothing about the
History of
pop
it.
factory, but the pop factory was.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when he was talking, I said, well, I need to ask him what he knowed about the old pop factory.
Yeah, but the pop factory was, it was sitting right there where the dollar store is now. What I can remember that building being there, but I can't remember. At that time, I think they had like a shop in it. But they used to be the pop factory used to sit right there. They told me.
Like back then, been a good job working in pop factory.
Yeah. And they got their water out of that holler. You know that holler comes down through there? Now somebody told me that there was no big steel tank up in that holler yet. Where they used to have for a storage tank.
You reckon they use like fresh water? I mean, like come out of a stream or something?
Yeah, I get come right out of that holler right there. What they said they used the water from. I don't know where they boiled it, sterilized, or done, but it was called McClure Bottling Company, Haysi, Virginia. They had a pop bottle on
eBay.
eBay not long ago. Did you hear what it went for?
I heard you was talking about it. But
$100 and
$100
was $102.75 or
so it's a Haysi
I
Cocoa.
got my head
Yeah.
going, my ears are sticking out.
I believe Mike told me it went for $102,
Catch me this
$107. That's pretty good money for a pop bottle, ain't it?
Yep. Yeah, it is. I bet somebody around Haysi
And they're
bought it.
very-
Baby curl, that's a big long story.
You know that? I bet somebody around Haysi bought it.
I'd like to know who it was. Mike come up here that evening, and he come in from work and brought that paper up here and showed me. And he said, now Jack said, when they sell that bottle, said, I'll tell you how much it went for. I said, okay. And he did, but I can't remember. See me, it was $102.50.
100 and something.
Yeah.
It's over 100.
It was a little more than I'd pay for it.